Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 120, and I'm going to read you a letter from one of my listeners. I think it's going to help her, and I think it's going to help you, and I don't think I'm going to give her the answer she's expecting. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody. How are you today as I sit in my room, in my downstairs office, looking out at my beautiful woods? Do you remember when I used to talk to you about I was looking out at the beautiful Caribbean Sea? Well, let me tell you what. I feel just as lucky and just as happy looking out at these beautiful woods as I did at the Caribbean Sea. And you know why? Because I choose to think that. I really do, and it really makes me feel good. You know, I could choose other thoughts. I could have thoughts like, oh, I miss the ocean. I miss the sea. How come I don't get to look out at it anymore? Poor me. But you know what? It's not that didn't cross my mind. It's just that really, when I look outside, I love the green. I love trees. I love trees almost more than I love the ocean. And when I look at that, those are thoughts in my head just as much as, oh, I miss the ocean. I just choose to direct my mind towards the thoughts that make me feel the best, that I really believe just as much. Remember, you always have that option too, to decide what you want to think. And make sure that whatever you decide to think, you believe it with all of your heart. There is no way you can just choose a pretty thought. And you know what I mean by a pretty thought? Sounds wonderful, but you don't believe a word of it. It's not going to do you any good. But, you know, when I'm talking about thoughts, that really brings me, well, everything I talk about is thoughts. But today I want to read a letter to you that I received from one of my listeners, Rochelle. And I think it's going to be very pertinent to you too, because I think a lot of you have these type of issues, but the way that I'm going to answer it probably is going to be different than what you expect me to say. And I think it's going to be the same for her because basically, Rochelle, I'll read you the letter in a minute, but she's asking me what she can do. And as you know, if you've been listening to me for a while, what to do is an action. It's in the A line of the model. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about the model is just a way of thinking. And basically the way that it works is that we always have a circumstance in life that is just a fact and it's just neutral. And it could be anything that can be proven in court. So for instance, the sky is blue. And the sky is blue is a circumstance. It can be proven by everybody on a certain day. And what you think about that circumstance is what will create your feelings. So having a blue sky doesn't mean you're going to be happy unless you think, I love the blue skies. And if you think I love the blue skies, then you're going to create a feeling of happiness inside of you. So your happiness doesn't come from your circumstance, the blue skies. It comes from what you think about the blue skies. Now, in this model, once you have created your own feeling, and when I say this model, I'm just going in your mind. Once you have created your feeling, your feelings will create an action. It will create something you do or don't do. So for instance, I love blue skies. I feel happy. And what do? I go out and I walk in it. That's what I do. Now, if I told somebody whenever there's blue skies, you need to walk, they would look at me like I'm crazy. Because for me, blue skies give me the feeling of happiness, and it makes me want to get up and move and be happy and move my body. And walking is one of the things that I just love to do when it's like that. But it's only because I think that. So I want you to think about this model, that there's a circumstance that creates thoughts, and those thoughts create feelings, and those feelings create actions. Now, when I answer this letter today, you're going to see that she's going to ask me what to do. She's going to ask me what the A line should be. And the beauty, I think, of my coaching is I rarely, well, I'll say never, coach on the A line. I always coach on the T line, on the thought line, because that creates your feelings and your actions. So if you try to do something, like let's just say you believe the blue skies mean you need to get in bed and go to sleep. I hate blue skies. For sure, your action is not going to be going out and walking, right? And if I told you that you had to go out and walk whenever it was blue skies, and you only believe the blue skies meant going into bed, the action of walking would be very, very difficult for you. But if I could show you that you're just thinking something about those blue skies that is actually creating your actions, then if you could change the T line, then the A line would almost come automatically. So you're going to see when I read this letter that I'm going to teach from the T line and not the A line. And you're going to see the difference. I think you'll see it for yourself. And Rochelle, I hope you see it too. So here's the letter that she wrote me. Hi, Dr. Deb. So happy to have found your podcast and your techniques. I am finding that my big challenge is in good preparation. I have not been in the habit of cooking over the years. My family members all want to eat different things, and instead of cooking for everyone, I have basically given up. Now I am starting to dive back in to be able to prepare wholesome foods for myself, and I find that I'm able to identify my negative 2 without much trouble. What I'm not good at yet is knowing when that may occur so that I may have time to prepare food for myself. I am also finding the food prep rather time-consuming right now because it's a new practice for me. Do you have any suggestions? Thank you for all your advice through the podcast and looking forward to more words of wisdom. And this is from Rochelle. Okay, so Rochelle, first of all, I want to read the first paragraph to you again, and then I'm going to give you my wisdom on your thoughts. So you're saying that I'm finding a big challenge in food preparation, in good food preparation. I've not been in the habit of cooking over the years. And my family members all want to eat different things, and instead of cooking for everyone, I have basically given up, right? So I can only imagine what this year has been like for you, Rochelle, thinking that you're giving up because it's so hard. That, my darling, is a thought that you're thinking that creates the action of not doing anything. First of all, I want you to see that that has not helped you. That is not a fact about anything. That's just something that you've been thinking, that it's difficult, and that cooking different things for different family members is difficult. Because you know what? You don't even have to think that. You could think it's a pleasure. You could be grateful that you have all your family members sitting at the same table eating. And so what if you have to cook a few different things? Not only so that they'll eat with you, but also so that you can take care of yourself. And I'm just saying that right now, and I'm not being flippant about it, but it's just the idea that what you decide to think is going to create the results. And if you don't like your results, you have to go back to your thinking. And so just the thought, Rochelle, that you think this is difficult is going to make it difficult, which is why it's difficult for you right now, is because you still have that same thought. And you think that you need to practice prepping. And actually, what you really need to practice is your thinking. You have thinking from long ago that tells you that this is difficult. You also have thinking, and you didn't say it here, but my guess is that when you think it's difficult, you also think that maybe you're not important enough to do difficult things. Okay? It's just food preparation. It's just cooking. If you thought in a way what a pleasure it was to do it, especially for you, so that you could get the results that you want, which is, it could be weight loss, it could be good health, it could be just feeling good about yourself. But any of that, those are all choices that you get to choose to think. So now, a year later, you still have those same choices. And where I'm going to begin with you first is for you to decide that you are important enough to prep and plan. That's really where it starts. And let me give you some examples of prepping and planning. So a lot of people, I think what you're wanting from me is to give you techniques for how to prep and plan. You want me maybe to coach you on that A line, what to do. But what I want you to see is that as long as your mind either believes you're not important enough for this, and it's kind of tricky and slippery because your mind just tells you it's really hard. But really, tell me the things that you do that are hard and you do them anyway. For instance, if you have a family and you have children, I would bet you that somehow these children of yours, you have found a way to feed them all the time. They have never gone hungry, no matter what. Even if you're not sure when they're going to get hungry, even if you're not sure about a lot of things, I would bet you get prepared. And why do you get prepared? Because you want to take good care of your children and it's important to you. It also might be a benefit to you to be prepared for your children with food so they don't get crabby and whiny and all kinds of things when they're hungry. But yeah, you may not always know when they're going to get hungry. You just know they're going to get hungry and you're going to be prepared for it. So think about that for yourself. And I want to add one more thing to that because I did a podcast on my daughter-in-law. And my daughter-in-law, as you know, she is my son's wife. But I really don't look at her as an in-law. I look at her as my daughter. But it sounds kind of weird if I call her my daughter when she's married to my son. But for all practical purposes, I think of her as my daughter. And I have so much respect for her. And one of the podcasts that I did, a year ago is when they came to visit us in Belize. I watched her get ready to leave for the day. And she has 2 little kids under the age of 3. And it took her literally about an hour to 2 hours to get ready to leave. And she just kept thinking of things ahead of time. She was planning and prepping for all the things that she might need for these kids. So that if they needed to take a nap, if they needed to eat, if they needed to change their clothes, whatever it was, she decided that she was going to figure it all out ahead of time so she could have a good day. It was important to her to take care of her children, and it was important to her that she could have a good time. So that's deciding in your mind first, in her mind first, that prepping was important. Rochelle, that is what you must do first. You must decide that it's something that you must do for yourself. Why? Because of the results and the things that you want in your life. Right? And I don't care if you like it or you don't like it. I'm not saying my daughter-in-law was sitting around thrilled to death for 2 hours getting ready to go. It's just something she knew she needed to do because it was important to her. Rochelle, what I want for you is decide right now, and all my listeners who are listening right now, I want you to decide that whatever it takes to get you what you want with a healthy, thin, fit body, you are willing to do that for yourself because you love yourself as if you were your most beloved, as if you were your child, as if you were somebody that you cared enough about that you would do hard things for, right? It changes everything in your head. It changes everything. When I watch my daughter-in-law, I can see that there is no question this is what she's going to do. Now, how do you make it easier? I think you make it easier by deciding that you're going to do it no matter what, that you are very, very important to yourself, and that this will give you the results that you want. I think the difference between last year and this year for you, Rochelle, is you're going to change the way that you think, period. Because you certainly can see that the way that you were thinking last year got you the results that you have right now. And I don't think they're the results that you want, right? And so now you're thinking, I have to start planning and prepping. You're thinking on the A line. And all I want you to do as you're in the A line of planning and prepping is I want you to decide what you're going to think and feel about taking care of yourself. And if that becomes the most important priority to you, then Rochelle, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a done deal. The result will be everything that you want. So I hope that helps. And I hope all of my listeners, all of you that are listening today, understand that I don't know how many times I've said this, but I'll keep saying it because everyone I talk to always says, I just can't make myself a priority. It's like, well, the only way that you make yourself a priority is to make yourself a priority. You have to decide that you are important, that your needs are important, that moving your body on a regular basis, even if you don't feel like it, is important. You have to decide ahead of time that preparing beautiful, healthy food is important, even if you don't feel like it. I will tell you what, there's a lot of things in the moment I don't feel like doing, right? I got my little primitive brain in the back of me going, I want to take a nap. We don't need to do this. Let's just take a nap. You don't need to go walk. You don't need to go to do yoga. You're tired. I don't want to do this. Like a little kid, a little toddler throwing a fit, right? And I just calm my little brain down, that little toddler inside of me, and go, you know what, sweetheart? It's okay. This is going to be the best thing that we do all day. And you know what? It always is. Whenever I'm done doing something that I don't feel like doing, I always feel so great that I did it, especially when it's for me and especially when it's going to get me the results that I want. And if what you want is a thin, healthy, fit body and a happy, content, and peaceful mind, then it all starts up in your mind with what you think. Food preparation and planning is a wonderful, beautiful gift to give yourself, but you've got to believe that you're worth giving it. That's what I want you to think about this week. So, until next week, you know what I want you to do. And Rochelle, I'm talking to you too. I want you not only to think of yourself as your most beloved, but I want you to be very, very kind to yourself. Bye-bye. See you next week.
If you're ready to take your eating issues to another higher, more improved level, well, it's time to talk to my wife, Dr. Deborah. She's helped hundreds and thousands of people. Just visit drdebbutler.com/work with me. You'll get a free consultation with Dr. Deb and find out if coaching and talking to my wife is a solution to your struggles.